Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote. This is the weekly show where we introduce you to creators from all over the world and we find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode is someone we have been a fan of for a very, 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 very long time, and she has finally decided to grace us with her presence. Please welcome, in the words of our friendly neighborhood Highlander, there can be only one, the Chalk Girl, aka Beth. Beth is here. Hello, Beth. How are you? And no, this is not a trap.
Hi. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Love it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Now, if you have any questions for Beth, aka the Chalk Girl, because there can be only one, really, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Do not forget to like and share this with every single person that you could possibly know. And if you're watching us live or on a replay, we specifically thank you so much for being with us. So with that being said, Beth, when were you introduced to the world of comics, if that happened to you?
Yes. So X-Men was my introduction into comics, specifically the movies. But that definitely began a train of like trying to find every X-Men comic I could get my hands on, and then being overwhelmed by the like disorder and like jumping into it so late of like, where do I actually start? Like, what's the beginning? What's all that stuff? But the movies for sure. Cinema has been like a huge influence since I was a teen. And so that was like pretty much my solid introduction. You can't go wrong with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. I feel like he's aging in reverse. He's got a Benjamin Button thing going on.
He really does.
I know, honestly. Let's frackin' go. Sorry, I can't say the other word because we're trying to remain friendly here on the airwaves. But if you know what I'm saying, you know where I'm going with that. Anywho, that kind of segues into our next question. So outside of the X-Men and having that iconic 90s theme song rotating on repeat, right?
Yeah.
In the back of our heads. Anyway, what were some of your other favorite TV series growing up?
Sure. Oh my goodness, there's so many. So I was addicted with Harry Potter. I was part of that generation that like got back into reading because of Harry Potter. So that was a huge influence. When I really started, like, I've been drawing my entire life, but like when I decided to start drawing people, that was a huge influence. In terms of other movies, I'm just a big fantasy person. So Pan's Labyrinth was my number one movie for a really long time. Love that movie. To be knocked off to number 2 by Endgame recently. So it was on top of the list for like a really long time. But honestly, I feel like we got the golden age of Marvel movies. There may have been other people that got the golden age of comics, but I feel like we got the golden age of Marvel cinema. So like all of the first 4 phases were really, really cool for me.
Wow, I'm sensing a pattern here. There's like a word that starts with M. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, Marvel. So you seem to drink a lot of the Marvel, not Kool-Aid. I'm not saying this is a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination, but you have drank a lot of the Marvel Kool-Aid, all 31 flavors of it, which is fine because, like many of us, I mean, and I agree with a lot of things that Beth just said. I mean, I grew up on X-Men, the animated series. I grew up on Spider-Man. That was my introduction to the Marvel universe. I had no idea what Marvel was.
Okay.
Until I saw those 2 shows, because Fox Kids is one of the best things since sliced bread. Hashtag 90s kids rule this world.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of them. Okay. I think Beth and I are in and around the same age range. So we know what's up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you named some good movies. I know I have heard a lot about Pan's Labyrinth over the years, but I still have yet to see this bad boy.
So good. It's so beautiful. Guillermo del Toro is like, he's just a beautiful artist, and the way that he, like, I went to school at Columbia College. I wanted to be a cinematographer, and like Pan's Labyrinth was the reason that I went to film school, essentially. And so like that was a big thing, but it's such a beautiful movie. It's so well thought out. It kind of twists what we know of a lot of like fantasy tropes. So it's beautiful. And Doug Jones is brilliant. So yeah.
He's been in like 50 million things, that guy. Jeez.
Well, yeah, and you would never know.
Yeah, because he's always 9 times out of 10 he's always in a suit, right? He's in an animatronics or this the makeup, the prosthetics, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Doug, you've been around a long time, brother, but you're still kicking tail and taking names in the dressing up as certain creatures and aesthetics and prosthetics department, I should say. Excuse me, sorry, I'm trying to get the right words out for those who work in film. The people who work behind the scenes are extremely important. So give credit where credit's due. Hands down, we appreciate you, behind the scenes crew, for sure. Who are some of your favorite artists, whether they've worked in comic books or some of the artists you've bumped into at conventions?
Yes. So this list is actually growing. It's actually hard for me to fall in love with art. It takes a lot. You'd think that like a lot of artists would be open to certain things, but it really it takes something really clever to get me to like a certain art style. One of the first being I think it's a duo named Rory and Polly, and they make the most hilarious stylized versions of all of your favorite fandoms, but specifically creatures. They're really into doing like the Pokemon or Toothless or just like animals in general. And they have a fantastic, just wild style. But then they put descriptions on each of their pieces that are just absolutely hysterical. I would totally biff it if I tried to explain one of them to you, but they're really great. I love Timothy Vaughn. He's got amazing graphite art. If you ever go to a convention and you see a booth that is completely decked out in gold and white, it's probably his. He's got all these fantastical graphite pictures, but his backgrounds and everything, he lays like these golden tablecloths down, and like it's very hard to miss. But he's a fantastic artist. I could stare at Andy Park art for days. So my collection is slowly growing, but there's a small select handful. But I do love the stuff that they have.
Interesting names. I don't believe I'm familiar with a lot of these, so I'm gonna have to look these individuals up on Instagram or other creative forums for that. If you have any links, feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you have any
Will do.
links you want to send me backstage after the show or on my Instagram, feel free to do so when the time arises. Support all kinds of artists out there. We're doing our best, fellas. With that being said, what made you decide to become an indie artist?
So I had 4 jobs at one point. I was working 4 different jobs. I have a feeling that this question will be asked at a later point in the interview, but I got into the sidewalk chalk art because I did some stuff on my driveway, took photos of it, went and applied at Six Flags in just any kind of capacity of art. I was like, hey, I can do things. This is my portfolio. They saw the pictures of the sidewalk chalk art, and then they made me a position at the park where for 5 summers, I got to draw with the sidewalk chalk 1 picture every day. And then it would get washed down at the end of the night, and then I do a new one the next day. So like that's how I honed chalk. But that meant for 5 summers, I was just drawing Warner Brothers and Justice League, but like comic book Justice League. I couldn't draw like Heath Ledger Joker. I couldn't draw, some of the other things that I really wanted to draw. But so like I was stuck drawing those characters. And then in 2016, my husband and I signed up for a convention. And it was my first ever, like I'd never done this before. I didn't have anything to sell. I didn't know how I was going to do pretty much anything at the con. We didn't know how we were going to get a finished picture home, but I was like, hey, I draw with sidewalk chalk. They were like, you need to make sure that it doesn't make a mess. And I was like, no, it's transportable. Like I can take it home when I'm done. And then I turned to my husband after I was done with the phone call, and I was like, we need to figure out how to make chalk transportable, because I flat out lied to the convention. But but so we did this convention, and I was finally able to draw characters that I really loved. And at the time it was Arrow. We were really into Arrow and Flash when they came out of the CW. And those characters were there. Stephen Amell was there. Grant Gustin was there. Like a good chunk of all of those celebrities were there. So we figured, like, what if they get to see the thing that I'm drawing? And like, how cool would that be? And how amazing would that be? And so like that instigation of like, maybe people like this, it got well received at the convention. And so I was like, could it become enough of a joy for people to see that I could quit 3 of my 4 jobs and just focus on Chalk Girl? So I was nannying, I was working at Trader Joe's, and I was working at Six Flags, and I quit 3 of the jobs to go follow a dream.
Jeez.
Yeah.
4 jobs at one time. I have enough trouble just working 2. I mean,
It's a hustle. You gotta hustle, but
yeah, you can. Yeah, if you want to pull a John Cena out of this, hustle, loyalty, respect. You can't see me. No, no, no. What are you playing, peekaboo? Of course we can see you. I mean, Beth, we can see you. The person who's watching or listening to this right now can see you. Once again, this is and I quote with the honorable Beth, aka the Chalk Girl, because there can be only one. All right. So don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for this incredible, hardworking individual, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat. And if you're joining this live on a replay, more specifically. Thank you so much for doing so. Goodness gracious, 4 jobs. You lie to the convention. You fake it till you make it. You get there. You make a big splash. Grant Gustin and Stephen Amell are singing your praises. Good Lord. I got to be honest.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
I mean, that's one heck of for at least a really good portion, I should say, of your true Hollywood story. I mean, if I can speak for myself and the person who may be watching or listening to this, I mean, this is what we would say to you.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, it just is. Goodness gracious. So outside of that incredibleness, that portion of yours, when it comes to your true Hollywood story, what are some of the what are some of the biggest rewards about being an indie artist?
I get to make my own schedule. I think that's one of the first things that people think about when I've heard it said that having a steady job with a corporation is the illusion of security, and then being a self-employed person is the illusion of freedom. And having your own schedule or being able to set your own schedule is definitely part of that illusion of freedom, which is great because I find that I am most productive between like 5 p.m. and 2 a.m. So I can, if I feel like working on a project, then it'll probably turn out really well. And I don't have to worry about getting up at, god awful sunrise hours the next day. I love the fact that I get to choose what I get to draw. It's not that it was like really hard for 5 summers to only draw, certain characters, but the more I love a character and the more inspired I am by a piece, the better it will turn out for sure. The more I'm able to come up with a creative idea that really captures an audience, stuff like that. So not having to, define my portfolio by what other people are requesting is really nice. Those are probably the 2 big ones. Those are pretty hefty. They take up a majority of the why it's awesome to be a freelance artist.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Opposite side of the fence, though, biggest challenges about being an indie artist.
Yeah, for sure. So nobody has to purchase anything from you, like ever. They don't need anything from me. Nobody needs my art to survive, which, yes, you could create an argument for of what did we all do during the pandemic as we turned to art for enjoyment and happiness. And we all watched a movie or a show or read a book or something. So artists are obviously necessary, but me specifically, nobody needs to buy my art. And so it's very hard to convince someone like why my stuff belongs in their house, or if I do draw something for me, that might not be the interpretation that someone else has, and then the booth next to mine might have like the classic image of Wolverine or a book character or something else, and therefore my my stuff is not as valuable as the next person's. That is pretty tough. That schedule one is kind of a twofold because the couch calls me at like 3 p.m. every day for a nap. It's self-discipline is really important. And if you don't have it, you're probably not going to go very far. So it's pretty darn hard to keep a consistent schedule or to keep pumping things out or keep trying that. Lastly, I would say just like managing social media. I wear probably 70 different hats at my job. I am social media manager, and I am a video content creator, and I am the buyer and the purchaser, and like everything about my business is me. I call it my business with my husband, because I don't understand a lot of legal jargon, and he very much helps me like get through taxes and get through lawyery stuff and things like that. And so he also is very strong. He helps me, move things at conventions, and he drives while I get to sleep in the car and stuff like that. Very much a partnership, but like I am 98% of the business.
Jeez. That's a plethora right there, fans. But hey, the good news is the couple that stays together works well together. So that's fantastic. Teamwork makes the dream work, as one might say.
Absolutely.
Which the power of teamwork overcomes all. Which I learned back in '95's MMPR the movie. If you grew up watching Power Rangers as a kid like I did, you'd understand that teamwork is very, very important, right? And remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. Very important.
Yes.
That's what Mr. Miyagi taught us many years ago. Do you remember our good friend Mr. Miyagi? Remember him?
My dad says, "Don't forget to breathe" to me all the time.
Really?
All the time. That is one of his favorite things. So like so much so that I have like a running bracelet for emergencies, like should anything happen while I'm running a race, and it literally says, "Don't forget to breathe" on it.
It literally, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have an extra one laying around that I can use? I'm just saying. Maybe I could use a friendly reminder every day, right, Beth? I mean, there's nothing wrong with reminders.
I literally have it with me.
Whether it's notes, whether it's a piece of paper, I don't know. Is it there? Is it there in the studio? Let me see that.
It's hard. I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
There it is.
It's too blurry, but the bottom line says literally "remember to breathe" on it.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Fantastic. And thank you to your family member and to Mr. Miyagi for telling us, remember to breathe. Very important.
Absolutely.
On, X off. Sorry. Love Karate Kid, and I even love Cobra Kai even more. Are you familiar with Cobra Kai? Have you seen it at all?
I have not watched it. I'm so far behind on so many shows. It's not even funny, but I'll get there one day. I'll get there.
You should, because Cobra Kai is really, really good.
I'm sure. I've heard good things, really? And they're at the conventions a lot.
Yes, Ralph the castmates. Yeah, Daniel-san, Johnny Lawrence, Kreese, a lot of the cast members from both the original films and the new series, which is Cobra Kai. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to meeting the cast members. Hopefully, they'll book them at some of the conventions I'm going to within the next year of 2025. So, please send all the Cobra Kai people to my conventions because I really want to meet them so bad. Plus, I got 2 Cobra Kai shirts that I can wear to the convention in our photo ops. That's one of the best things about being a fan, right, Beth? When you go to photo ops and you meet these certain celebrities, depending on who it is and what character they portrayed over the years, if you have the right shirt, it makes the photo look so much better.
I can only say so. I that's not something that I take time to do when I'm at a con. I don't really have the time to do that. I was dragged into a photo op once, which was really fun.
Really?
With Robbie Amell. But
hey,
yeah, I can totally understand why the right shirt makes all the difference in the world. I get that. Which cons are on your list for 2025?
Well, so far, my friends and I are planning on going to AwesomeCon in our nation's capital of Washington, D.C., which is April 4th through the 6th of 2025. Okay. Please feel free to book your tickets now because they announced recently that there's going to be a 45th anniversary reunion of the Goonies cast on one side of the fence. And then on the other side of the fence is going to be a 35th anniversary reunion of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cast from 1990.
Wow.
Which includes, Brian Tochi, Corey Feldman, who was both in the Goonies and TMNT because he was the voice of Donatello. Yeah. Let's not forget about that, folks. Robbie Rist is going to be in the building. Judith Hogue, who played April O'Neil, who is a very sweet woman, by the way. Very sweet woman. It's I'm trying to think. Who else am I missing here? It's Josh Pace. Josh Pace, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And I'm a huge OG 1990 TMNT fan. That movie is one of the greatest of all time. I've rewatched it 50 billion times. I'll probably watch it like 20 times a year because it's freaking awesome. I mean, I'm sure. Have you seen TMNT?
I think I was too young to appreciate like the cartoons and stuff when they were high. Like my brother was hardcore TMNT. Okay. And he's 5 years older than me. So I think I was just slightly out of it, that it wasn't something I got into when I was like really little, and then age 2. I have a couple of the sketch covers though. I do plan to do some TMT art.
Oh, do you? Mm-hmm. All right, well, that's just Bossa Nova, huh? What? Bossa Nova? A Chevy Nova? No. Excellent. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, that's a line from the original movie.
Your Rolodex is amazing.
Well, you're
have to
welcome.
say.
You know, here's the fun fact about for those of you just tuning into And I Quote here on this channel, and we're joined by the Honorable Beth, aka the Chalk Girl, who's a great indie artist here in the US of A. One of the things that skills that I have in my life is that I have a very sharp memory for remembering movie lines or movie scripts. So if I watch something once or twice, this is a true story, ladies and gentlemen, the whole script goes right up here.
Love it.
And then I can recite it back to you as those characters or as those, what do you call it? Impressions or personalities, whatever you want to call it, right? Is that the right word? I can pretty much do it word for word. Speaking of which, fun fact, by the way, David V. Mamina of Mamina Books and Games is here with us. He says, holy hell, that Venom behind you, Beth, is spectacular.
Well, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. It's one of my favorites.
Really? Is it? How long did it take you to put that together, by the way? 'Cause let's give David some interesting facts about Venom here. How long did it take you to put it together?
Well, David, so this is a vinyl banner of the original. This is not the original.
Right.
But the original took about 75 hours of execution time. That I forgot how long it took me to, I do what's called like Frankensteining, where I find, I might find a hand from one picture and I might find a head from another picture. So like he is like 5 different Venoms that I Frankensteined into one for my reference. So I don't know how long that part took me, but his execution time was about 75 hours.
Yowza. That's like almost that what is it? 24, 48, 72. That's like 3 days and change, isn't it? Good
If
Lord.
I did nothing else, yes.
Yeah, that's I'm looking at my non-existent watch here that I know Beth is going to send me one of those ones that says, "Don't forget to breathe. It's very important." In the mail at some point this week. Hopefully she does that, Beth. Anyway, I'm just kidding. No pressure. I'm just kidding.
It's all good.
But my goodness, that is wow. That's insane.
You can buy this. This is for sale. I just put it up as a backdrop because otherwise you would just see the ceiling of the house. So yeah.
Well, they are redecorating. David says your talent is undeniable.
Well, thanks, David. I really, really appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in too. I always love answering questions is probably like one of the favorite things. It's just it creates this natural conversation. So thanks for asking questions.
Yeah, he's David V. Mamina is a indie writer, writes fantasy horror books. So if that's up your alley and you like to read, I don't know if you like to read about a lot of outside of comic books, of course. If you like to read books with words on a page, how can you read this? There's no pictures. Well, some people use their imagination. You can find him at Mamina Books and Games on YouTube. You can find him at, I believe, maminabooks.com. So
fabulous.
Yeah, visit his website. Get yourself some dark fantasy novels. Maybe you might enjoy something.
Nice. What do you think out of all of your quotes, your Rolodex of quotes, what do you think do you use the most often? And what do you think lands the best every time you use it?
Oh, these are okay. We're going to be here all night, folks. All right. So this is a great question. By the way, this is a great question. No, this is fair. This is fair. Normally, I do my best to make and I quote about our guest, which in this case is Beth, aka the Chalk Girl. By the way, links.
The street goes both ways. The street goes both ways.
We can go both ways here. So here's my answer to this. The quote that I use in my everyday vernacular, is that the word? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is I tell people as a form of encouragement. This is a form of encouragement when I say these words. Okay. I say, you're so money you don't even know it. And that is a quote from a rom-com called Swingers. Now, don't let the title fool you. It's not what you think, okay? Swingers came out in the year of 1996 AD with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn before they were Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. This is old school, early on in their careers filmmaking, okay?
Sure.
So they shot this film on a shoestring budget, guerrilla style. Doug Liman, who directed The Bourne Identity, was the director of this movie. And it's basically about a group of friends who go out to clubs to get women's phone numbers, get dates, but they're also trying to help their best friend, who's played by Jon Favreau in this case, who just suffered a massive breakup. And they're trying to encourage him to get back on the playing field, try to talk to women, try to get a date, just get back out there, put yourself out there. And he tells him every time that he feels bad or he doesn't feel like he's doing it right, he says, dude, you're so money you don't even know it. You're like a big bear, man. So, it's.
I love that.
Yeah. So I tell someone, whether they're an artist, whether they're a writer, whether they're a sculptor, whether they work in accounting, whether they work as a lawyer, a doctor, whatever, I say, you're so money you don't even know it.
Amazing.
It just means that you're a great person. You got a lot of things going for you. It's basically a form of encouragement. So that's the thing I use in my everyday vernacular. Now, the one that I use that seems to get a chuckle, a laugh, a smile every time is either that one or it's This Is Heavy. I use a lot of Back to the Futurisms. This Is Heavy, or why are things? I say, what's another one? Oh gosh, like why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? Always dropping some Doc lines on you, dropping some Marty lines. I mean,
Love it.
yeah, it's fun.
Love it.
It's fun. But I think Swingers, the movie Swinger, which by the way, feel free to watch this. It's available on streaming services worldwide. I don't know which one specifically it's available on right now. It might be available on Max.
The more you described it, though, the more familiar it sounded. So I feel like I've seen either part of it or somebody had it on in the background at some point. So I know what you're talking about. I just haven't. I don't think I've sat down and like watched it.
Oh, well, if you ever get a chance, you and the hubby can make it a date night.
We could.
It is only 95 minutes long, so it's only an hour and a half. Oh, and Heather Graham's in it.
Okay. Very
Heather
cool.
Graham's in it. Yeah, who was in Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. She was also in Boogie Nights. Also, she was in The Hangover. That's another funny one. The first one, because the other two never happened. As far as I know. But yeah, those are some of the quotes I use in my everyday vernacular. But I mean, if anyone brings up TMNT, immediately I'm going to go to Bossa Nova, Chevy Nova. Just TMNT is endlessly quotable. I'm sorry, but it's just
it's good.
I mean, fun.
I think growing up, the three movies that were like consistently, Fifth Element,
Multipass.
Elf. Yep. The Fifth Element, Elf, and Anchorman. Like we're like
son of a nutcracker.
Yeah.
Sorry, Elf, and what was the other one?
Anchorman.
Okay.
Like
I've only seen bits and pieces.
I didn't know you could speak Spanish. Like so many.
I've only seen bits and pieces of Anchorman, but I've seen Elf because it's a holiday tradition around certain parts of the woods, right? I mean, it's a holiday movie, and it's a holiday season, so you and your hubby are probably watching it right now, if you're not already. Later on, maybe. And then what was it? Elf, and then you said Fifth Element. Yeah, that movie is when Chris Rock comes in, it becomes a completely different movie, but in the best way. So it works. Multipass. I mean, it was one of Mila Jovovich's first films. So
yeah.
But because before that, she was just the girl in the background in Dazed and Confused in 1993. Do you remember that movie, Dazed and Confused?
Never seen it. Know what it is though.
Okay, well, she was in it. A young up and coming at the time, Ben Affleck was in it. Matthew McConaughey was in it. They cut their teeth on that film. So, got a lot of well-known actors that weren't as well-known, back then as they are now. So, if you want to go back and watch a bit of an origin story to I'm Batman, Ben Affleck, or Batfleck, as he's known in the pop culture landscape, or Matthew McConaughey's all right. That's where that catchphrase originated.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's a coming of age movie, really. Dazed and Confused. Richard Linklater is pretty well known for that kind of filmmaking. So feel free to go back and revisit that, or watch it for the first time. You and the love of your life. I think you may enjoy it. I don't know.
Thanks.
Might want to write that one down. Put it in your Fitbit. I don't know. Add it to your memos. I don't know if you got a notepad in front of you, but I digress. Good Lord. What advice would you give to aspiring indie artists out there right now?
Oh my goodness. Gosh. Find and cement your support system from the beginning. So I was very, very lucky that I had such a good support system. My mom was an artist and her dad was an artist. So like everybody in my family has a little gift of some kind when it comes to either, visual art or some kind of other art. So like, I think my family just kind of got it when I said that I was going to take this route. And to this day, you will see, if you see me at a con, more likely than not, you will see Chalk Mom and Chalk Dad at the booth. And they'll be, while I'm drawing, they're taking money and handing over prints. And so like, having a support system, whether it be friends or a significant other or family members or just like other people in the vendor community, it's super important to get tips and tricks and to learn the ways so you don't have to do it 300 times. Someone before you has done everything that you've done with a different style, but they've done it before and they could give you solid advice. And so I just say like really, really find your community as best you can and go from there.
Very important. I agree with you. So do you have personalized hoodies that say Chalk Mom, Chalk Dad, and Chalk Hubby?
I have just regular Chalk Girl merch. I don't steal my Christmas ideas, sir. I may or may not have Chalk Mom, Chalk Dad. Mr. Chalk Girl is Chalk Hubby. But yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it.
There it is. Just making sure we get a shot of the incredible artwork and merchandise here, folks, because it always helps. It's called marketing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
It's one of the first things we learned when I was in college, taking film courses or just taking some mass media. What is it? Mass comm? That's what it is. Mass communications. Thank you. Yeah, school was so long ago. I'm getting too old for this business. But anyway, outside of meeting or seeing these incredible folks at some of the other conventions that you've mentioned previously, earlier on in this broadcast, have there been any other special memories for you from being at conventions, whether you're there as one of the vendors or there as an attendee?
Oh wow. I mean, I did get to meet Doug Jones, so that was like a huge, yeah. I drew a picture of the fawn from Pan's Labyrinth, and I got to meet him, and his memory is incredible. I was watching him in line recognize previous fans and tell them where he had seen them previously. He was like, I saw you at AwesomeCon, didn't I? And they were like, yeah, you did. So he's got this incredible memory, but he was so receptive. I literally brought the picture with me and like laid it down on the ground, and he got to see that, and that was really cool. Oh goodness. I'm a huge D&D fan. I play and DM and love Critical Role. And I made my favorite picture that I've made is of their second campaign called The Mighty Nine. And it's 10 feet by 6 feet. And I made like a cinematic video to go with it as I was drawing it. And then I posted that. And that was in October of 2020. So like we were still all quarantined and everything. But I think like 6 of the 8 members shared it on Twitter. And I know this isn't at a convention, but like Matthew Mercer follows me, and like it was really, really, it just made my year. I still think about it, and like I can die happy.
No, you rolled a D21. Congratulations. Gosh.
Thanks.
It's like winning the lottery when you roll a D21, I guess. I don't know. You and our good friend Kelly Beckham of Halcyon Designs, we get along famously because she's another fellow D&D fan, and she's got a lot of D&D artwork and journals and flasks that she sells at her tables at conventions. So
Love it.
Feel free to give her a follow.
It.
I'll send you her link here a little bit later on in
Please.
the show. Kelly's a good friend of ours, and we're a big supporter of hers, and she does a great job, and we wish her all the best with everything that she's doing. And hey, she's local because she and I live in the same state of Maryland. Yay! So
awesome.
that kind of helps. Yeah, you're awesome, Kelly. You just keep on doing what you're doing. With that being said, who do you hope to meet somewhere down the line of conventions that you haven't seen as of yet?
I have not. Okay, so I'm planning. Critical Role is my ride or die right now, and so I plan to do a drawing of the Vox Machina, their first campaign. If you haven't watched The Legend of Vox Machina on Prime, it's spectacular. It's the animated series that adults want to make and watch, and it's D&D. So if you're into any of that, like, you will enjoy it. They're all going to be at C2E2. And I live about an hour north of Chicago, and I'm really hoping to get a booth at the con, if not just go and see them and potentially just be in person, meet them. That I could die even happier. That would be amazing.
That's one of the biggest conventions in the world, and it's in Chicago with them bears and that pizza with there, man. You know, the bears and them bears thing cubbies, yeah. Sorry, that's a horrible impression. I'm so sorry. Sorry to those Chicagoans. It
was pretty good for a non-Midwesterner. For the Midwest,
yeah, you're right. I'm not a Midwesterner. I'm a Northeastern person. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. But I hope to visit the Midwest at some point because I have a lot of friends in the what is it called, Midwest region, including Wisconsin with the cheese. So you know, Kelly and Crayley of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay are out that way. So, and they do a lot of conventions during the year, right? Kelly and Crayley. Have you ever heard of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay? If you haven't, you should look them up on YouTube.
I may have. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to see what they've done. I'd be able to tell you.
Sure. Don't worry. I'll send you the links. See, this is the beauty of networking, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't see the links in front of you, we can always send them in the backstage here. or off camera later on in this telecast. You never know. Once again, this is, and I quote, with the guest of honor, Beth, aka the Chalk Girl, because it can be only one. And don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you're joining us live or on a replay, thank you for doing so. If you have any questions for her or even me, because apparently Beth likes to put me in the hot seat every 2 minutes, let us know in the comments or the chat. More than happy to take those as they come in, respectively. Good Lord. Conventions are fun. And when you meet some of your legends or childhood heroes or whatnot, depending on who it is and what the occasion is, it can really be a magical moment in your career or in your life. So, you've met the Stephen Amells and the Grant Gussons. And by the way, I forgot to share this with you and with you who may be watching or listening to this. We do have some examples here. Now, you are just chilling like a villain over here with I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, with Rowdy Burns from Days of Thunder, also known as Michael Rooker, who's Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy. What was it like meeting this dude?
He was so friendly, and he was the one that, like, not ordered, but very much convinced the volunteers that were around this convention. He's like, can someone get a ladder so we can get a photo? Like, he was the one that was instigating this photo. He was just so nice. He loved it. He was so cool. I watched him interact with a couple of fans before he came over to me, and like, most of the people that I've met, like 99% of them are just fantastic gems of human beings. They earn all the respect in the world. And I mean, for that couple minutes that I get to spend with them, like, they're always incredibly pleasant. So he was awesome. I love that photo. I use it all the time.
Pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. I mean, you and Michael are just chilling like nobody's business, and then you got the giant image of Yondu on there, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna sell something. That's gonna get people's attention, right? That's gonna get a bunch of eyeballs on, because you know what they say, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words.
I'd hope so.
So you always got that going for you. By the way, what's your favorite Guardians film between all three of them?
Oh my goodness. Probably just the first one. I love an origin story. And I remember listening to like Kevin Smith's podcast, and he was before the movies came out, everybody was like, who are these Guardians? Like, what the heck are they? And then you turn out they did a good job making the movie. So love an origin story. And again, like, Endgame is one of my favorite movies of all time now. And so just like watching all the characters come together, like, in there too, they were really great. So
yeah. Instead of where is Gamora, when is Gamora? Yeah, sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything goes over Drax's head sometimes, even though he claims that nothing goes over his head. But kind of tends to happen at times. For those of you watching, can you describe what exactly are these characters here? What are we looking at in this image?
So this is that Critical Role picture I was talking about. This is the Mighty Nine. For those of you that aren't really familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, basically it's a video game with your friends, but no electronics. So you make a character, and then there's a person, in this case, in the very middle is represented by Matthew Mercer. He tells you where you are and what you see and all your senses while you're playing this game, and you tell him what you're doing. And so all the characters around him are the tables, or the the friends that were at the table. And then dice is a really big part of it. And the dice is like the third narrator. They tell you how well you do the things. So these are those individual characters from their second campaign. And this group is called the Mighty Nine.
Interesting number. Mighty Nine.
Yeah.
Not the Flying V from Mighty Ducks, where it's 5 players skating on the ice with Coach Gordon Bombay, but it's the Mighty Nine, folks. The Mighty Nine. Yeah,
and they make jokes about that all the time. So yeah, it's a good time.
Do they? By the way, just out of curiosity, have you watched any of the original like animated series of D&D or some of the movies that have come out, especially the reboot with D&D Honor Among Thieves with Chris Pine?
I did see that, but I haven't seen anything else in terms of like the original animated or anything.
You really are behind some of these times, aren't you?
I told you. I'm working on stuff like this. Like I do this. I listen to so much because I can draw and listen, but I can't listen and watch.
Okay. So that can be a bit of a challenge. I can understand that. As being a visual learner that I am, it's hard for me to, if I'm drawing something, I can't really draw something if I'm trying to watch a movie at the same time. It's too hard for me.
Yeah.
I can't bloody do it, but yes, I try. What's a line from film or television that you use in your everyday vernacular, since you tossed that question earlier to me?
Oh gosh, of course when you ask for it, when you prompt it, nothing comes up. I'd have to like
Oh dear.
um well, okay. So I'm also a big musical person. I grew up on musicals.
Oh, okay.
Um and anytime someone says the word so, there's a part of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat where it's just so back in Kane and na 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 na, and I just hear that. Like I will often do that, and I play D&D with a whole bunch of musical theater nerds, and so like anytime we do that, we all say like it's just one of the things that everybody can join in with. But I hear that and I respond like that. I'm trying to think of what else. I do love. I do the I am not. Okay, so Baymax in Big Hero 6 says I am not fast. When he's like trying to run through this, like, I don't know, he's trying to run away from something bad. But often when I cannot reach something, I say I am not tall. I can't do the Baymax voice really well, but if I'm having trouble with something, I will say I am not tall, or I am not fast, or I am something. And it's just it's another beloved movie in this household, I suppose.
Oh, hopefully they'll make a Big Hero 6 Part 2
I hope so. I really hope so.
at some point, because I heard the film did quite well amongst audiences and critics. So I don't know why it hasn't been made a sequel yet, but
It's
sometimes
probably in the pipeline somewhere.
I hope so. I mean, I've heard good things about it, so I'd like to see what happens with some of these characters if that ever comes to fruition. You know, hey, my hat's off to everybody who worked on the first one,
Yeah.
for sure. Plus the giant inflatable like beta, it's just trying to plug
Yeah.
the holes in his suit or whatever, and he's just like walking over.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's
He's great.
cutesy. It's cutesy. Just out of curiosity, who's your favorite Muppet?
It's not something I ever really watched.
You've never seen a Muppet movie?
I probably have, but again, probably in the background. I was never like enraptured by the Muppets. This is a hot take. You can certainly put me down for this. I never really got into the Muppets. I like other characters because people I love those characters. So like my brother and my mom really loved Beaker and whoever the scientist is.
That would be Dr. Bunsen. Dr. Bunsen.
Sure. My mom loves the Swedish Chef, and like she wants to cosplay as the Swedish Chef, and so like I love that character because she loves that character. When I was working on a final animation project in college, we were all assigned a Muppet, and I was assigned Zoe. I think is Zoe Muppet or Zoe Sesame Street. I think Zoe's a Muppet.
No, I think Zoe's on Sesame Street, if I remember
Sesame
correctly. I mean, it's
I
all
don't
in
know.
the same family because it's all Jim Henson, but
Yeah, but I was assigned like this bubbly little girl of a puppet. I don't know. I just never. My dad loves the guys in the theater box, the
Statler and
cranky.
Waldorf, yeah.
Yep. So I was never really a Muppet person. They kind of, I don't know, meh.
And I got to be honest. For those of you tuning in and wondering what the heck is going on, basically this is the education of Beth, aka the Chalk Girl. This is pop culture. What is it called? Pop Culture 101. Because Beth clearly has a lot of homework to do when she gets off set here later today on this show, because she has missed out on some of the best properties in humankind, including the Muppets, by the way. Which, by the way, Jim Henson, we miss you. We love you. Thank you so much for everything you've given us. With these Muppets and Sesame Street over the years. I mean, Sesame Street is still going like 50 plus years later. It's ridiculous. Bless those Muppets and the puppeteers and the people who work behind the scenes hearts for making those things work as well as they do. But if you ever get a chance, you need to watch the Muppet Christmas Carol. I mean, that's a holiday tradition. I mean, that is a tradition.
Do I though?
You have to. It's one of the best holiday movies of all time. You, your hubby, the Chalk Mom, the Chalk Dad, the Chalk Dad's dogs and cats living together with mass hysteria. They're going to love this movie. I guarantee it. And the other thing is, I got to ask this because, I mean, you're really, you're scratching some surfaces here. So I'm just curious. Have you seen Charlie Brown at all? Have you seen Charlie Brown and Linus and Lucy, the Peanuts gang? You know, those guys?
I saw that stuff. But again, that like didn't, I think I was just kind of bored with that stuff. I know, right? But like I wanted to watch. Okay, but from the 90s, tell me that there wasn't anything else better on TV than Charlie Brown.
I mean, there was. I mean, the 90s had but here's the thing: the 90s had a truckload.
Golden age of animation, golden age of teenage and kid-centered animation. So tell me that you were gonna watch Charlie Brown over something else.
Well, no, I would pick Power Rangers over Charlie Brown any day of the week. Or in
There you
animation
go.
case, I would choose like Mighty Max or
Yeah,
Captain Planet. If you remember Captain Planet and the
I do
Planeteers. I don't know if
remember.
that's ringing us any bells.
It
But
is.
we're the Planeteers. You can be one too. Sorry, I got the theme song stuck in my head now. Thanks, guys. Let's see. I watched Animorphs. I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark? Salute Your Shorts.
Mhm.
Hey
Yep.
Dude. A Nickelodeon.
Yep.
You have it. Guts. All right.
Well, I loved Kablam.
That was
Kablam
another
was like
one.
one of my favorites. All that was awesome.
My God.
Um,
I wanted to be a
uh,
cast member of all that for so long.
no kidding. No kidding. Well, not after the HBO documentary.
Well,
just
the
came out.
documentary,
That's
yeah,
another thing.
notwithstanding the unfortunate situations that came out about that, but still, all of that had one of the best theme songs and a really good, well-established cast.
Yes. But like I loved those other shows. I was a huge Rugrats fan for some reason. I loved Rocko's Modern Life. I loved Kablam was fun. I wasn't allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy's kind of illegal. Yeah. I can see
That guy goes to a lot of the cons too. I've
Mhm.
seen him.
Billy West, yeah.
But yeah, I was watching other things that interested me more than
Doug?
Charlie Brown and Muppets. I'd watch Doug. I think
Doug.
of that theme song gets stuck in my head all the time.
Come on, Beth, you know it. Come on.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we can get
Yeah.
copyrighted, but it's really hashtag maybe. But no, it's Doug was, and I met Billy West, and I told him how much Doug meant to me because he was the voice of Doug and Roger and a bunch of the other characters because that's how good he is as a voice actor. And I said, Billy, I grew up watching Doug, and it's relatable, man. It's a good story. It's a good show. I like the character. I felt like an outcast a lot of the time. I had this girl that I was pining for when I was in middle school or elementary school that I never got the guts to ask her out, or kiss her or whatever. Like we all have these, insecurities about us when we're young because we don't know any better, right? We don't know any better. We're just kind of like figuring things out as we go along. And between him and Patty Mayonnaise, I'm like, dude, they should have had an episode where you guys are like 30 years later and you and Patty are married with like 5 kids because I can still totally see Doug with Patty all these years later. I can still totally see it.
Yeah. I think that there are probably like 5 to 10, maybe 10-second clips that from Doug, from all that, like all throughout the episodes that live in my brain rent free. Like they just exist there all the time. Yeah, like the liver and onions episode, if you remember that. Speaking of like relevant and like relatable, there was an episode where Patty was like going on a diet and she had like a sandwich in a spray can and she would like aerosol, like one would do breath spray or something like that. There was the one where Roger secretly set up the birthday party for Doug and Doug thought that like everybody was just like ignoring him and like going to something else. And like, it was Roger that set up the birthday party. There are so many like things that just, I see the scenes in my head all the time. And yeah, I think about that a lot.
I so wish we could play the Doug theme song without getting cited, but man,
we can tell people to go look it up and listen to it for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah, you can look it up on social media and YouTube. A lot of people have taken the episodes and posted them on youtube.com, or some of them are available on certain streaming services. If you have Paramount Plus, you can watch Doug there because Nickelodeon is a Paramount studio. You can go back and watch the reruns. Here's another one for you. Are you familiar with Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Yes, I loved that show. I wanted to be on that show so bad.
But which team would you want to be on? What is your team color? What is your team?
When I was younger, I loved the Purple Monkeys. I think it was Purple Monkeys.
No, those are the Purple Parrots. Purple Parrots.
Purple Parrots. Okay. Well, I love the purple one, the purple shirt.
Well, that was Purple Parrots.
Made my brother a Blue Barracuda shirt.
Yes. That's my team.
We did, instead of gifts for Christmas, we started doing donations to different charities.
Really?
And we did a Santa's Secret Santa thing to get the person that we were going to donate on behalf of. But then to make it fun and to bring more joy, instead of just like opening up a thing that said we donated to, we had to give them a game or some way for them to figure out what we donated to. So I made my brother play Legends of the Hidden Temple with like, I read a story of Christmas and like he had to buzz in and answer questions against my sister. And like, I gave him the Blue Barracuda shirt, like hardcore fan of Legends of the Hidden Temple. Yeah. There are other things, other deep cuts that I am so hardcore about. And then you ask me something like that most people have seen, and I'm like, no. Did you ever watch One Saturday Morning?
I think I heard of it, but I never watched it.
So that's
I've
where
heard of it.
Recess came from.
Oh,
Recess.
okay. Well, I've seen Recess. That I've
Okay.
seen.
Yeah.
The I saw
Offbeats
Recess
and
the movie
like,
because they came out with a movie some years later.
oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
One Saturday Morning was like the U, back when there was the U. They had like it was just early in the morning on Saturday. I think it was like an hour or an hour and a half or whatever of just like kid, kind of like a Kablam setup, but it was some live action, some animated. So it was very fun. Loved One Saturday Morning, and not a lot of people know what that is. So
Do you remember Hey Dude? Do you remember that one?
yes, I remember the logo. I don't remember what the show was
Yes.
necessarily about, but I remember
Okay.
the logo.
It was about a group of kids working at a dude ranch.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Hence,
yeah.
hence the reason it's called Hey
Hey,
Dude.
dude. Yeah.
And it's a great theme song. Great theme song.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it in a while, I would highly suggest you look it up, or I can just DM it over to Beth and she can listen to it later, which you probably should because it's one of the best theme songs of all time, in my humble professional opinion. Another one. Are you familiar with Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego?
I had the computer game that was
Floppy
like
disk.
8-bit pixels, and just like you're following a woman with raven colored hair. What does raven colored mean? And like you finally like capture. Yeah, it was very simple, but it was I can remember the sounds so clearly. It was super fun. I think I was too young for it, but my brother and sister would like help me go through the game. But yes, I had that. One more for you. My family's big on hiking, and when we go hiking, I bust out the Camp Anawana song.
Oh my gosh, salute your shorts. Yes. I
And
was there.
so-
I was there. I watched a whole bunch of episodes back in the day. I was there for that.
Yeah,
We hold you in our hearts. Yeah.
Yep. Yep, that one. So there's some deep cuts, but just the more generic stuff that most people know about, I'm kind of meh.
Man, oh my gosh, we're learning so much during the course of this episode of And I Quote, which, by the way, you may be watching or listening to with the guest of honor, Beth, aka the Chalk Girl. Do not forget to like and share this with everyone you know if you're joining us live or on the replay. Thank you for doing that. If you have any questions or want to ridicule Beth even more about her lack of some of the greatest parts of pop culture, let us know in the exactly. Bring it on, haters. The haterade is coming. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. By the way, thank you to all of you who have chimed in or have commented thus far. David V. Mamina of Mamina Books and Games on YouTube.com has been a great contributor, and he's been asking some good, or he's just been commenting on how great Beth's artwork is, because truly it is. It's one of a kind, at least in my humble opinion. But I mean, my gosh. Well, let me ask you. I mean, what pieces of artwork do you have on your docket for 2025 that you're going to be revealing to the public at some point?
Sure. So back in 2020, to tell that, I need to tell this really quick. Back in 2020, I was like, I'm going to be super productive while we're in lockdown, and I'm going to finish one picture every week. Did that happen? Absolutely not. Did I start one picture every week? Yes. So I have a whole bunch of just begun pictures in my studio that are waiting for me to finish them. The closest one that I have is a picture of Storm from the X-Men. I have a almost done picture of the animated Avatar Last Airbender. Working on that one. Let's see what else. I have a picture of Charles Xavier, of both Patrick Stewart and, why am I going to forget his name?
James McAvoy.
Thank you. I have the old version and the young version. And then I have a partner picture, which is Ian McKellen and,
Michael Fassbender.
Thank you. So I have like those that I think would be really cool to pump out. I do say X-Men a lot. I guess I don't realize how much they're in there, but like some of these characters are just so cool. I have a Captain America started. I have a Thor started. I have a full. So I did a set of what I called Chalktober for a while. Inktober is a popular thing among artists where they do one drawing every day during the month of October. I turned it into Chalktober for 3 years, and I took my favorites and I made limited edition prints out of those. And so I did a very quick Jareth and Sarah from the Labyrinth.
Oh, Labyrinth. Yeah.
But I have like a full picture that has more characters in it that I'm gonna hopefully finish for that as well. And then I have a whole list of ones that I've just meaning to get around to, things that are really significant to me. Most currently, Arcane. It's so beautiful and it's so great. And like I said, it's very hard for me to fall in love with certain art styles, but Arcane had me from like the first couple frames. I really want to do a picture of the bear. If you've seen the bear on Hulu, I want to do a picture of Carmi from
the chef, right? Is it
Yeah,
the chef?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
chef.
I've seen the trailer for the bear. I've just never seen the actual show.
Sure. And I find that like, so I did a picture of Anya Taylor-Joy from The Queen's Gambit. And I feel like some of the more rare things turn out to be my best sellers because nobody else has them. So like that's one of our best sellers. And so I think like something like the bear, like I don't really see a lot of artwork at the cons of that character.
Oh, the bear, yeah.
I don't know. I have a whole bunch of things that I really want to draw. I just need to focus and
you just
work
got
on
to do it. You know? And the words of Palpatine, do it. You know, it's just, yeah. Do you remember that from that cheesy, over the top voice from Revenge of the Sith? Do it. You know, it's come on. Which, speaking of, just out of curiosity, favorite Star Wars character?
Ooh, okay. So I have seen all the Star Wars movies.
Great. We can actually be friends again. This is great. All right. You're moving in the right direction. This is good.
However, my introduction to them wasn't until 7 came out, until Force Awakens comes out.
I love Force Awakens. Love Force Awakens.
Good. I'm glad. A lot of people are like 7, 8, and 9 don't exist, but like
no. 7 exists. It's 8 and 9 that don't exist, and the prequel trilogy doesn't exist either. But 7 is great. Rogue One is a masterpiece. Criminally underrated.
Okay.
But yeah, Rogue One and Episode 7 are gold. Like those, and of course the original trilogy. All 5 of those movies are pure gold.
Yeah. So like my love of Star Wars did not happen until like 2019 or whenever 7 came out. So I binged.
That was 2015.
Okay, thank you. I binged 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then I went and saw 7 in theaters and fell in love with Rey because I mean we don't have a lot of female protagonists and like ready to fight and all that jazz. Love her. Love General Leia for the same reasons of like the guidance and the love and all that jazz. In terms of other characters,
insert Jeopardy theme song here.
Yeah, in all honesty, again, like Star Wars has not been like my thing, but I mean, I love the bots, I love the droids, I love the little guys,
BB-8, C-3PO, R2-D2, maybe.
Yeah, I love those guys. I don't know if I'm like solely glued to one Star Wars character as like a ride or die situation.
It's okay. So I take it your favorite Star Wars film is in fact Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, yeah. I like 7, 8, 9 because it's more like it was current. I was more up to date with all the stuff and like the effects and everything. There were some shots from those movies that like I just wanted to paint or draw. Like
really?
Yeah. Kylo going against Luke in the like the sand that turns red once you kick it up.
Oh, on Crate. Yeah, Crate.
Yeah, Crate. That visual is so cool and like would love to do just a really wide landscape picture of
you should do it then.
I mean,
you should do it because
I told you my list.
You know what they say, right? Go big or go home. You need to go for it. Otherwise, you only miss 100% of the shots that you do not take.
That is very true. So yeah, I just there were a lot of very cool visual things. But yeah,
that's fair. What if Daisy Ridley showed up at a convention? You gave her one of your prints. How cool would that be?
It would be very cool. I'd feel a little bit bad because that was like one of my first ones, so it's not something that I'm in love with. It like I see the mistakes in it, and I'd rather do a much more impressive picture.
You want to revamp it. You want to redo it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, like it would be very cool to meet her. I'd show her the cosplay my mom did of her for Halloween this year. Like,
oh, she did.
Yeah.
Your mom dressed up as Rey?
Yeah, she did. She works at a
Oh my God.
bakery, and they all decided to do Star Wars costumes for Halloween, and so she turned out to be Rey. It looks really good. She did a really great job.
Send me the picture. I'd love to see that. That's beautiful. That's great. Continuing the legacy of Star Wars is another great thing about these fandoms. There's no doubt about it,
Yeah.
fans.
Yeah.
Wow. Whew. Favorite line in a Star Wars movie?
I
Your
couldn't
favorite
tell
quote?
you.
You
I'm
couldn't tell,
not that
really?
into
You
it.
can't even say the generic ones or the no? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not into it that much. Again, like mainstream
Okay.
stuff, I just haven't gotten into it as much. And again, sci-fi is not my first
Right. Right.
it's harder for me to fall in love with that stuff. If you start doing any kind of like time travel stuff, I'm totally lost, with the exception of Endgame. I think they explained it really well.
And Back to the Future, that always helps.
Yeah. But there's it's harder for me to just be absorbed into it. So
Well, the good news is you've seen Back to the Future because you've made prints out of that. So
yes.
at least you like those films, right? You like all three of them or just the first one?
I've only seen the first one.
Oh my gosh. And yet you have a print from the second movie that you've never even seen.
So the whole reason that we draw some of the pictures that we do is because the celebrities are at the conventions.
True.
And so the chance of them getting to see it in person is kind of like an instigator of who should I draw at this con because they're there. And so both Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox were at Wizard World in 2016. And I thought like, hey, what a chance. How cool would that be if we got to see them? So yeah, that's why I drew them.
It's still a great print. I'm not going to argue that, but for you to say, "Oh yeah, I drew that." Well, how many times have you seen the movie? Never. Like
Yeah.
what? Does that for some reason as a fan that doesn't compute with me for some weird reason. But hey, you know what they say.
That's the whole like drawing it for someone else. Like that picture is not one of my favorites because it wasn't necessarily for me. But like people love it, people like it.
Yeah.
It looks really good on metal. They've gotten Christopher Lloyd to sign it. At least somebody has. They showed me a picture. So
I think it's cool.
yeah. Well, thank you.
I think your work is fine. I mean, you may think some of your early iterations of these works are maybe not as good, but I think they're fine.
I appreciate that, but that's also part of being an artist and like watching yourself grow and
true.
all that jazz. So like, I mean, I wasn't expecting Venom to turn out the way he did and like super pleasant. Like I surprised myself with that sometimes of like, wow, this turned out way better than I had planned it out in Photoshop before I put chalk to canvas. So that's kind of that's a bonus to being an artist that way.
Speaking of D&D, does the name Bonnie Gordon ring any bells?
Bonnie Gordon?
Yes, from D&D. She's I mean, she's a celebrity. She's a voice actress for Star Trek Prodigy. She's done a lot of conventions where she's a singer. She also sings about D&D and her love of D&D. And
I haven't. I don't think I know who that is.
No? Okay, well, she would really like, you and her would get along really well because you're both D&D like massive fans. She's a really nice person. She's been on our show before. Bonnie Gordon, who's the voice actress of the computer system on Star Trek Prodigy, which is an animated series. So feel free to check out that interview. Don't worry, Beth. I will send you the link to that interview so you can have you can watch that video and get to know Bonnie Gordon just a little bit better.
Sure.
Plus, she likes to sing about her love of D&D and some other fandoms, and she likes to do her own versions of like classic songs and put her own spin on it a little bit. She's a big musical fan, so you and her would get along famously.
Yeah, I love musicals.
Well, she likes musicals as much as the next person, so I think between Beth and Bonnie Gordon, you would get along really well. So we'll send you that link here momentarily. But I do have some friendly neighborhood questions from our good friends over here at Poddex. Now, Poddex is curious, though. If you were given just $1,000 specifically to spend on your closest friend, what would you get them?
Oh my goodness. I love that question because usually when people ask me about like that you're given a large amount of money, it's always like spend it on other people. What would I get them? Okay. I have am I allowed to spend it on multiple friends or just one?
No, it says you have to spend it on your closest friend. There's no S in this one, so it's closest friend. You got to pick a single. But if you want to be creative and cheat and say, well, I'll just buy it for my closest friends, you can do that too.
Okay. So one of my best friends has a small music business. I have a lot of friends that have small businesses.
Nice.
But one of my best friends has a small business down in Austin, Texas, where she teaches music along with some other teachers, and she also puts on musicals for like recreation purposes. And I would probably give it to her to utilize to help out her business. I have another friend that has a small business that is a PR person, and I would, give it to her to, in whatever way would help their business most. So I don't know if that's a tangible item or if that's taking lessons somewhere or putting it into, subscriptions that they normally have to pay for. It's kind of like paying off somebody's bills, sort of. That's the route that I would go. I love that question though.
Well, hey, poddex.com aims to please. If you were designing what is known as your own fragrance to represent you, what would you call that fragrance?
Yeah. So I love citrusy smells. I don't know if these would represent me, but like these are the things that like I would like to have my own version of this. Love citrusy. If somebody really wanted like a chalk girl perfume in the most literal sense, it would smell probably like fresh paint and chalk. I don't know if anybody would want that, but that's probably what it'd be. But I'm a big citrus person. If you've ever heard of like, I don't even know how it's pronounced, but it's ylang ylang. It's Ylang. I think it's a flower or something. It's a really nice scent that I like. So maybe some kind of mix of citrus and fresh paint. I know.
Boy, this is very specific. We can pull these fragrances because I actually work at a place called Lowe's, so I can take a bottle of these two scents and put them together, and we can make this happen.
I mean, it might be really good. You never know. Some of these combinations that people come up with are really whack, but they make it work, I guess. I don't know.
Guess we'll have to pay a visit to our local Lowe's and see what happens. Beth, if you do that in the great state of Wisconsin, let us know your thoughts. Anyway, just throwing that out there. Who is the best female role model in your life specifically?
Oh, probably my mom. Really easy. I know that's probably like a basic
chalk mom
girl answer. Chalk mom. Yeah. So my two older siblings are very athletic, and so whenever they were on the court or on the field, I was on the sidelines with my mom with crayons and a coloring book. And she has just the way that she lives her life and goes about her daily just what she does every day. It's very much not centered around her. It's centered around everyone else in her life. That is how she spends her time, is making other people's lives better or more happy or however she can. But she does everything with her whole heart. And yeah, I love who she is as a person.
Isn't that special? Blessings to you and Chalk Mama Bear, Chalk Mom. Say hello to her for us over here from the northeastern United States. What word or words do you always struggle to spell correctly?
I definitely have to pronounce, or I have to spell out restaurant in my head. There's a hidden U that I don't say. I don't know if it's just a Midwestern way to say restaurant or whatever, but I have to like physically do that every single time. Wednesday is Wednesday. It's never Wednesday.
So strange.
I don't know. English was one of my things like growing up. I was an English and arts kid. Obviously not like a math and science kid, but English and arts. So English was always pretty good. I don't know if I can think of anything else that I use in my daily life that I have to like that. But restaurant is definitely like REST. Yeah.
Understandably so. Yeah, Wednesday. And it's just like the month of February. Is it February or February? Because I prefer Uary. And what is this Rue?
Yeah. Yeah. My birthday's in February, but I always say
you're February?
It's February 18th.
Really? 18th. Okay, well look at the bright side. At least it wasn't on Valentine's Day, because that would have been cheesy.
Yeah.
Nothing against your family, because I know your family is definitely a loving family from what I can tell from your True Hollywood story. But at the same time, I'm like, really, Mom? I was born on February 14th. You couldn't wait another day? Come on. But February 18th, that's awesome. You're a February. So what if your birthday's in the month of February? What's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Aquarius. That's it. That's what I
Mhm.
was looking for. Okay, Aquarius. By the way, you're talking to a Libra here, so
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay.
Late September, for those of you wondering. Yeah. Libra, fall baby, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm a Libra. I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally, but whatever. Some people take that astrology stuff very seriously, and I'm like, what does it matter? Honestly.
I've never looked into it that deeply. Like some people can literally like, when's your birthday? Oh, you're this. And I was like, sure, great. I'm glad you know, but like I don't take any of that into account when I
Yeah.
think about anything.
Are we taking these things too literal? I don't know. I mean, an Aquarius can get along just fine with a Libra, even though their tastes in movies and pop culture references are vastly different. You know?
We make a more interesting world, Ryan.
I think
Because we're not the same.
No, yeah, that's fair. But the good news is, at least, with all the other fandoms that you've been drawing or putting together yourself, and you've been seeing these folks at conventions, you're still part of our world. See what I did there? There's a Disney reference for those of you watching at home. Did you please tell me you've seen Little Mermaid?
Yeah, I've met Jodie Benson.
Oh, really? How was she?
She's very pleasant, very nice, very like what you'd imagine a grown-up princessy kind of person to be. But yeah, she was very, very nice. Yeah, I even auditioned with that song. I was part of an a cappella group for like a hot minute, and I auditioned with that song. So yeah.
You auditioned with that song, part of your world? No way.
I did.
That's awesome. What's your favorite Disney animated film?
Lion King.
Ooh,
like from the beginning, from when I was like 5 years old, Lion King, like all the way. And then in terms of like the princessy stuff, Belle was my favorite until Moana came out. Love Moana.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah.
You gonna go see Moana too?
I'd love to. I just haven't had the time yet.
Because you're such a busy artist woman, which is fine. It's really understandable. When I think of Little Mermaid, and hopefully I get to see Jodie Benson, some of the other castmates at the show. Christopher Daniel Barnes was the voice of Spider-Man in '94's Spider-Man. He was also Prince Eric in The Little Mermaid. So,
yeah, I see that picture at the cons. Yeah, his Eric picture.
Yeah, it's Eric, and then he was also Peter Parker / Spider-Man in the '94 animated Spider-Man series. So, Chris, when you see this, and I see you, I'm going to have you sign my Spider-Man Blu-ray set, and probably Little Mermaid as well, because, two big characters. It's kind of a big deal.
Was he also, or was it Aladdin that was the kid from Full House?
That was Scott Weinger from Full House, who was the voice of Aladdin. He played DJ's boyfriend, Steve.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Aladdin is my number one.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good one.
Because I grew up watching it, like many of us. And the other thing is, I wanted to be an actor because of guys like Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. So yes,
absolutely.
Gotta love the genie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he's doing the Prince Ali, fabulous, and when he says, "Don't I look lovely, Joan? Fabulous, honey. I love the feathers."
That is a great impression, Ryan.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if you want to hear more, we could be here all day. But I love Aladdin. I've seen it probably 3 billion times. That's not the actual number. I'm just making this up as I go. Because just to clear everybody up, I was never really good at math as a child, and I'm still not good at math as an adult. I struggle with math and a little bit, to a certain degree, science. I was more of a U.S. history and just a film nerd growing up, so to speak. But I did take honors Earth Science. Was it honors Earth Science? I think it was. Yeah, that was fun because we learned about astronomy, and I like astronomy. So I got no problem with that. Which, by the way, I don't know if you remember this or not. One of my favorite shows as a kid was The Magic School Bus. So.
I don't know if I had access to it.
Really?
I loved the concept, and I think we watched like a couple episodes in school. And then my local library had a computer game, and I loved the computer game. But I never really like watched full episodes of it. But I definitely know what it is. Have you ever seen the comparison between the kids in Magic School Bus and the kids from Captain Planet?
Yeah, some people have said that the kids in Magic School are basically the Planeteers, just as like 8-year-olds, and then Planeteer is them growing up to become Planeteers. And I'm like, I never ever thought of that and never made that connection, but that could be.
Yeah.
Wheeler is Arnold, right? And then you have Kwame is the kid from Magic. I can't remember his name, but that's him, right? And then Dorothy Ann is from the Soviet Union, Linka with the power of wind. Sorry, I'm getting so nostalgic right now thinking of Captain Planet's theme song, which, by the way, does anyone remember? Because they had the plastic rings, from the Planeteers as toys, and I had the ring from Wheeler's character that says fire, and
Love it.
I would pretend that I was Wheeler. I'm not kidding you.
Love it.
Like
I think we all did that. We all
yeah,
we had an L-shaped couch in our family room. Yeah, and I would watch Pocahontas and like the bit at the end where she's like running to the cliff to wave goodbye.
To say goodbye to John Smith. Yeah.
I would like do laps on this L-shaped couch, pretend like we all did that. That's part of a healthy imagination. Yes.
I did not know that about you. That is fascinating. Which, by the way, I don't know if you knew this or not, but next year, if I'm not mistaken, right, Pocahontas is going to be turning 30.
Oh, is it really? Jeez.
Well,
all these movies getting so making me feel so old.
Well, if you want to join us, which, by the way, this is a program, for those of you wondering, and I quote, does movie anniversary watch along. So when a movie turns a certain age. So basically, you're watching us watch the movie, but you can watch the movie along with us from the comfort of your own home as an audience member, and you can comment below in the chat while we're doing this show. For example, we're going to be doing a 45th anniversary watch along of The Goonies. We're going to be doing a 35th anniversary watch along of TMNT from 1990 because it's one of the greatest of all time. We're also going to be doing a 45th anniversary watch along of The Empire Strikes Back. Okay,
that's insane.
And for those of you who are Force Awakens fans, that movie turns 10 next year, which means we're going to be sitting here watching Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, with hopefully Beth, the Chalk Girl, as our special guest for that episode, because she is such a massive Force Awakens fan as much as this person is, which is myself. And I think she and I would get along really well talking about Force Awakens as we're watching it. So
it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, the invite is open if you want to join us for when we hammer out. We have the dates hammered out. I just got to look at my Google Doc, my spreadsheet, and then I can send you the information regarding that when we get closer to it, or in the next couple of weeks here.
Do you do it the day that it was released? Like, will you? Because that one was like in November or something, wasn't it?
It was in December. It was the
holiday
season. Now, I got to double check the schedule. I think we have it scheduled for either December or sometime before that. We may have it scheduled for May the 4th be with you for Star Wars Day.
Sure.
So I don't know. I have to like I said, I haven't looked at my spreadsheet in a while, so I got to look and see, because Case and I plan out the schedule. So I gotta see when Force Awakens and Empire Strikes Back are going to be dropping. But don't worry, Beth. We're going to make sure that you have a nice seat in the front row here on the set to join us to watch The Force Awakens for its 10th anniversary.
That's insane.
Which, I mean, hey, you know what we did earlier this year? We did the 10th anniversary of Captain America Winter Soldier. We did the 10th anniversary of X-Men Days of Future Past, which in my opinion is the greatest X-Men movie that we're ever going to get. It's the best one. It is the best. It tells a well-told story with two different timelines, two different casts, right, Beth?
Mm-hmm.
You have James McAvoy interacting with Patrick Stewart, which we never thought we would see.
Yeah.
And the moment those two interact, I'm saying to myself, this is one of the best scenes in any X-Men form of media, period.
It's I think we all kind of gasped when that happened. It was very, very, very cool.
We did, didn't we? And the other thing is, and I'll share this with you too, and this goes to what we were talking about earlier with regards to supporting people who have small businesses in this world. There's a small business that has a t-shirt that specifically has the quote, "Just because somebody stumbles, loses their way, it doesn't mean they're lost forever." And that is a quote from X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
So I'll send that link over to Beth so she can add that to her wardrobe. Since you're a massive X-Men fan, apparently. Which, another thing, not to spend too much time on this, but for small businesses, if you're wondering, Etsy.com, you can type in FOJcosplay.com is a small business on Etsy called Fangirling Over Jesus, and her name is Ashley, and she has a bunch of geek-related clothing that has a lot of fandoms featured on it. Sometimes it has verses from scripture, if you believe in that sort of thing, with all due respect to people who believe in other stuff. But it also just has fandom stuff with your favorite characters on it, your favorite logos on it, including Lord of the Rings. I don't know if anyone here is a Lord of the Rings fan, but I mean, do you like Lord of the Rings?
Again, not like my top thing. I have watched all of them, have seen all of them. Working on a picture. I think I need to read the books to really I don't know. Yeah.
You want to read the books? Okay. Well, those are thick books. You're gonna have it's gonna take you a lot more than 75 hours to read Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and then what's the other one? The Two Towers, right? And then there's the Return of the King. So just
Lots
saying.
of them.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take more than 75 hours. I'm so sorry,
That's
but
okay.
You'll get there, I promise you, because I believe in you. You can do it. Because
Thank
you're
you.
so money. You're so money. You just don't even know it, Beth. If you were musically inclined, who would you want to have a private jam session with at some point?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question.
Who is it?
I'm gonna say that I love, but I think about. You ever watch the Colbert Report?
I've seen bits and
Colbert.
pieces. Yeah, bits and pieces.
He's got a set of like 15 questions that he will occasionally
Sure.
ask his guests to really get to know them. And so one of those questions was, if you could listen to one song for the rest of your life, not like continuously, but anytime you go to listen to a song, it's this song. And I think about that question all the time. And I think my answer would be "The Dog Days Are Over" by Florence and the Machine. And I don't know much about them at all, but I think that like to be able to be in the room and like hear them live would be really cool. I've never been a really big concert person. So like to be in the same room and hear them and like do their thing. Also, I don't know if whoever the lead singer of Imogen Heap is.
I've heard of them. I just don't know the name of the person.
You'd probably recognize the music, but this female has come up with these gloves that
Really?
like her music is like semi-electronic and like there's
sure, yeah.
reverb and all this stuff, but
Mhm.
she's got these gloves that like basically Tony Starking like the air, and she can control what she records and how she does
funny.
things, and like that to me is just like genius level music stuff. I know I'm going on this. I think Hosier would be a really cool one to just sit and jam out to, and yeah.
Good answers, even though I probably just in the words of our good friend Emmett, I think I got it, but just in case, tell me that whole
There
thing
you
again. I wasn't listening. That's a Lego movie quote.
Yes.
Everything is awesome. Anybody remember the Lego movie?
Yeah.
You know
And
that
Lego
movie?
Batman. Oh,
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
quote that I use all the time: "First try." From
Yes.
yeah.
Wham, boom, wham, first try.
First try. And then all the batarangs just not hitting the button.
Not hitting the
then
button. Yes. I am a
first try.
massive Lego Batman fan. I freaking love that iteration of Batman. Will Arnett just nailed it.
Yeah.
So
It's
much
really good.
so. Because when he shows up out of nowhere in the first one, I'm talking about the OG Lego movie from 2014, which, by the way, that movie turned 10 this year, believe it or not.
Insane.
And I'm looking at Batman. I'm like, wait a minute, and then Emmett. I had the same reaction that Emmett's like, "You're Batman's here, so cool!" Like, and then he's hitting on Wild Style and kind of like trying to get with her, and I'm like, dude, she's not into you, man. Like, she just doesn't really care.
I mean, I think he's quite oblivious to a lot of things.
He is. But by the way, when he walks into the Batcave in the Lego Batman movie, he says, "Computer, I'm home.
Computer.
I'm home.
Computer.
I'm home. I'm home." By the way, computer, open Batcave. Password, please. Superman sucks.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Great writing on that one.
Oh my gosh. I haven't seen Lego Batman movie in a while, Beth. Maybe we should sit down. I should sit down and rewatch that. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. And Lego Batman is one of the funniest. I didn't, when you think about it, Lego as a movie, it just doesn't, I don't know if that can work. But when you see the movie and how Lord and Miller did it and the animation style that it was created in, right? They pulled it off. I don't know how you did it, but you guys did it. Like, I didn't think Legos could be an actual movie.
Yeah.
But
I have an acquaintance from college that did the storyboards for those two movies. And like, it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Wow.
They're so good.
That's amazing. Lego Batman is funny. Wham! First try.
First try.
Computer, I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. I'm sorry. I can talk about.
It sounds like you need to rewatch it.
I probably do. And the other thing is, I mean, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I like Batman. I'm a huge Batman fan. As you can see at the top of our show, we like to incorporate clips from a lot of different movies in our intros. And as you saw, we included Batman 89, which is one of the greatest of all time. So, I mean, you've seen Batman 89, I'm assuming.
You're going to keep asking me this question. I'm going to keep disappointing you.
And the answer is an emphatic no. My gosh, I don't, in the words of X-Men, because Rogue and who's the other one? Rogue and Gambit try to have this relationship that doesn't seem to work half the time because she can't touch anybody, right? Rogue can't touch anybody because if she does, she's going to kill him, if not suck all the life juice out of their system. So Gambit says one time at the end of season 1 of X-Men, "I do not understand this woman." Well, I don't understand you, Beth, but what I do I really don't. And what is in
You
that
don't
cup
have
of
to.
yours that you have a spoonful of? What is that?
It's tea. It's just a spoon to stir
Okay.
like the honey and lemon that gets sunk to the bottom. So yeah.
Okay. You're having a spot
Yeah.
of tea. All right. Well, that's fine.
Mhm.
Hey, listen, whatever gets you through the day. And by the way, your wardrobe of choice, do you wear the Chalk Girl hoodie 10 times out of 10 because of how cold it is in Wisconsin?
Not necessarily because it's cold, but I literally do it to advertise. I get a lot of people asking me, what is the Chalk Girl? And so then it gives me a segue to tell them about my small business. Free advertising.
That's true. Maybe I should buy one, and then I can advertise you on the East Coast or the northeastern part of the United States. So,
I mean, you'd be one of my favorite people for doing that, but no one's obligated to. They are comfy, and so I like wearing hoodies. Hoodies are my hoodies and leggings are my outfit of choice. But
no.
if I have a Chalk Girl hoodie and I'm going out, yeah, absolutely. Or if I'm doing a podcast, absolutely.
Well, I'm wearing my hoodie today because it's quite cold here in the Northeast, so keeps me warm, and it's comfortable too. Hoodies are very
Yeah.
comfortable, right?
Yeah. When there's everything else going on in the world, we got to have comfy clothes. And yeah.
Well, I just bought myself. Well, this one I bought not too long ago, and I bought some other clothes during the Black Friday extravaganza because they were on sale,
Nice.
and you save a lot of money that way.
Yes.
And I just learned that the campus store, the college campus that I graduated from and back a few years ago, is having a 25% off all Under Armour clothing.
Ooh.
And since Under Armour is quite expensive, with it being on sale, I'm going to pay a visit to them later today and get myself a long sleeve shirt and some jogger pants or a pair of sweatpants because it is cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, go Under Armour. Because I noticed in one of your pictures you're wearing your hoodie, and under it you have a Under Armour shirt there. Because I saw the logo. Yeah, the logo was peeking out of one of the pictures that you sent us here in this set. I think it was this one. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. Hashtag not sponsored, by the way. Under Armour is in no way, shape, or form affiliated with this show. But if they want to be, they can give us a call.
I love that you noticed that detail. I was like, which one? That one.
It's the classic H. It's the H.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Under Armour's logo is twisted.
A U and an A.
A U and an A. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, in case you're in the TU, Maryland, Towson area, they're having a 25% off Under Armour sale today, so feel free to check it out. But anyway,
how cold is it by you right now?
It is. The last I checked, it's only like 35 degrees. It's like
okay.
It's 36 degrees. It's cold.
I say you are farther north than we are, and so
true. We are in Maryland, so
yeah.
If you want to look at the weather in Maryland on your smartphone, feel free to look at it because it's quite cold up here. But anyway, because we're closer to New York and Canada and the border and all that nonsense. But what isn't nonsense is how epic and incredible this episode and how big it's been. Speaking of Big Hero 6, big it's been of, and I quote, I want to take this opportunity right now to say thank you to Beth, aka the Chalk Girl, for being our guest on this week's episode of, and I quote, a very historic one where we learned Beth is not who she appears to be when it comes to being a fan of certain properties, but she's very clever at being deceptive and using her dark force powers to make us believe that she has seen every single movie or TV series that we have mentioned under the sun, but she hasn't. She has a lot to learn, young Padawan, but it's okay. That's what we're here for. Pop Culture 101 here on And I Quote channel. With all due respect, Beth, we still love you. We appreciate you. We congratulate you on all your success, everything you've done, and all the things you're about to accomplish in the new year of 2025. So if somebody wants to know more about you or maybe purchase a piece of your artwork or maybe support you by wearing that ridiculously good-looking hoodie, where can they follow you on social media, Beth?
I'm on pretty much all social media. I've got Facebook, I've got Instagram, I've got TikTok, I've got my own website. I'm probably missing a couple of things in there, but if you literally just Google search the Chalk Girl, more likely than not, you'll find me. And then on any social media, it's just at the Chalk Girl.
Very simple. There can be only one.
Sorry, my website is adventuresofchalkgirl.com in case you want all the info. I do have a newsletter where you get news before any other social media. So if you are really impatient for stuff like that, go sign up there. But yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. Beth, congratulations on everything. I'm going to talk to you here again momentarily. My name is Ryan of And I Quote channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. That's personally. And then you can follow us across all forms of social media simply at And I Quote channel. And we are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitch. We are also on TikTok. So all those links can be found in the description down below for where you can follow Beth, aka the Chalk Girl, myself, and everything else we're doing here at And I Quote channel. By the way, Our goal is to reach 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and you can help us get there by telling your friends about us. And Beth can tell her friends about us and her small business colleagues about us, because it just keeps going, and so on and so on. You know how these things go, Beth. And once we reach 5,000 subscribers, we're going to throw a great big live stream that's going to include returning favorites such as Beth to tell us how much of the homework she has completed since the last time we saw her. She's also going to be telling us how great pop culture is in all of its forms and not just one or two. And then also we're going to do special giveaways. That's right, giveaways that you, the incredible viewer or subscriber, is going to be eligible to win. Who knows? Maybe Beth will throw something in there for good measure. And also we have merch. We have shirts. We have hoodies. We have stickers. We have coffee mugs. Speaking of, do you want a spot of tea? Maybe Beth will get herself a And I Quote channel sponsored mug, coffee mug, to put her hot tea in or something. You can find it on our Redbubble store. It's all on sale right now because the seasons are changing. We want you to be provided with the best outfits or merchandise as humanly possible. So check it out. We got shirts, hoodies, everything your heart desires. So, you know, you might enjoy it. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, it's all on sale. Links are in our social media bios, so make sure you check those out when you have an opportunity to do so. Once again, And I Quote is on Saturdays at 12 p.m. EST. Movie watch-alongs and The Meaning of Fandom is normally on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I do want to let you know there was a big announcement made the other night, and I'm going to tell it to you here. I am going to be the new host of Freewheeling Fridays on the Madness Comic Network on YouTube, and it's on Friday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. That's right. It's a late show, folks, and I'm going to be the host, and I have creative freedom to do with that show whatever it is that I want. So if Beth wants to come on and tell me how many new fandoms that she's become a part of, or maybe some of the new pieces of artwork she's been able to put together, I would love to hear it. I think the millions of people who watch that show would love to hear it. I think Beth would like to talk about D&D for a minute. Maybe we can roll a D21 or a D20, whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe it's something. I don't know. I don't really understand D&D. I leave that to the professionals, such as Bonnie Gordon, Beth, a.k.a. the Chalk Girl, maybe even my good friend Kelly from Halcyon Designs, or Signs by Kelly on Instagram, by the way. That's how you can follow her, at Signs by Kelly. So make sure you're following her on Instagram. Good friend of mine and a good friend of the network. Once again, this has been a great episode of And I Quote. This has been educational and shocking, to say the least. But don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. It's all in good fun, Beth. Subscribe, ring that bell to be notified when our videos go up or they go live. And remember, life is better when supporting indie creators from all over the world. Take a look at this.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com today.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.